Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Morgana, the Fallen. Morgana is the sister of Kael, and they are both daughters to the former Aspect of Justice, Mihira. As the Aspect of Justice overtook Mihira and started supplanting her mortal personality, their father took the girls and fled. While Kael reveled in the laws of their new settlement and her mother's rule in their creation, Morgana grew bitter and resented these unfair rules and instead befriended the cast out and downtrodden. The day the Spellblade came down and unlocked the sisters' abilities was another bitter day for Morgana. She had no desire for these gifts, but chose to use her bitterness as an aegis to protect those who wanted to atone for their crimes. Kael and Morgana differed greatly on this, and finally came to blows when Morgana saved herself from Kael's right-hand man, killing him in the process. Their battle was legendary and destroyed much of the city, including the accidental death of their father. After the battle, Kael fled to the heavens and Morgana stayed down with the mortals, shackling her wings and going into hiding. Morgana is awaiting Kael's return with a bitter desire for vengeance, while still helping those who seek her out. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to thank one of this month's Doran's Blade patrons, Evan K. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to us. Evan K chose Morgana to build as part of the rewards for our Blade tier patrons. Speaking of Blade tier rewards, this month's homebrew is Ascent to the Radiant Summit, based on Mount Targon. Next month's release is going to be Welcome to the City of Tomorrow, based on Piltover. We released last month's homebrew, Into the Frozen Tundra, on a DM's Guild if you're interested in seeing that. Come join us on Patreon for some awesome rewards, including that monthly homebrew and an awesome Discord community. Alright, now let's get into it. First, let's cover the goals of this build. We need to get our CC on with a bind and an AoE stun. We also need to be able to desecrate the ground and make our enemies watch their toesies. Finally, we need an aura of death and misunderstood evil hanging around us. For race, just like her sister Kael, we're going with Aasimar, though in this case, the Fallen Aasimar. Fallen Aasimar have +2 to Charisma and +1 to Strength. Their affinity for Divine Energy grants Morgana celestial resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. She also picks up Healing Hands, which gives you a once per long rest heal equal to your level and hit points. Aasimar also get Light Bearer, which gives you the Light cantrip, though I'd flavor it as a purple hued light. And finally, we get Necrotic Shroud, which is going to be part of our ultimate, Soul Shackles. Starting at 3rd level, once per long rest, you can spend an action to open up the inner well of your divine energy, giving you skeletal wings and turning your eyes pure black. When you transform, all creatures within 10 feet have to succeed on a Charisma saving throw or be frightened of you until the end of your turn. During this transformation, once on each of your turns when you deal damage, you can deal additional necrotic damage equal to your level. With a fear, it sounds like we could get away with this just being our ult and calling it a day, but that wouldn't be nearly as much fun as the spell we're going to get later on. For background, we're going to go with the Haunted One. Seeing her father killed by their battle has hardened Morgana and embittered her to Kael in ways that may never be resolved. We get 2 skill proficiencies. We're going to choose Arcana and Religion. We also get the Heart of Darkness feature, which allows people to see you and the hardships you've faced, which endears them to you. As long as you're not a jerk to them, they'll come help you if you need it. For stats, we're going to chain you down and make you use the standard array. I'm just kidding, roll if you want to, and this time we're not multi-classing, so no worries there. We're going to open things up with Charisma. Morg's Dark Bitterness casts quite the intimidating air around her. Next we'll take Dexterity, get those Moby Boots going. After that we'll grab Wisdom. Morgana has actually lived and grown with the people she desires to protect, unlike Kael, who only has false ideals carved into her mind. Constitution is up now. We don't want to be too thick, but a positive modifier is nice for our squishy selves. Intelligence is going to be average at a 10. Morg really never hit the books, and it shows. And finally, we'll dump Strength. She's not going to be swinging any heavy weapons, and she'd much rather chain you up magically and leave you in a pool of necrotic earth. Alrighty, we don't need any equipment, so let's kick off the class breakdown with a level in Warlock. Warlocks have a D8 hit die and proficiencies with light armor and simple weapons. We also get to choose 2 skill proficiencies. We'll take History since she's so damn old, and Intimidation, because when a Morg flash ults on you, you're gonna start panicking. First level Warlocks choose their otherworldly patron. Now the Celestial actually makes the most sense in terms of matching her lore. However, we think the features from Fiend are much better, and since Celestial mostly revolves around healing and whatnot, this is the better call. This is going to give us Dark One's Blessing at this level, which is going to be a bit like the Triumph Rune. Anytime you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary HP equal to your Charisma mod plus your Warlock level. Level 1 Warlocks also get their Pact Magic, which are a limited number of spell slots that recharge on any kind of rest and are always upcast at max level available. As always, we're only going to talk about the Morgana specific spells. For this level, we're only going to talk about Eldritch Blast as Morgana's Darkfire auto attacks. This is the Warlock bread and butter and generally a must-have unless you're going Hexblade. You fire a crackling beam of energy and the target takes 1d10 force damage if you land your spell attack. Next level, we'll power up this spell a bit. Second level Warlocks gain their Eldritch Invocations, which are an array of abilities that help make up for a lack of spell slots. We're going to list all the ones we're going to use in the build here for you to slot in as you unlock them. The first is going to be Agonizing Blast, which lets you add your Charisma mod to your Eldritch Blast damage. Next, we'll take Armor of Shadows, which will work as one version of RE, Black Shield, by letting you cast Mage Armor on yourself at will. At level 5, we'll pick up Tomb of Levistus, which is just like Zanya's in that it buys you time while you're essentially immune to damage. As a reaction, once per rest you can encase yourself in ice. You gain 10 temporary hit points per level of Warlock, and you're stuck in the cube until those temporary hit points fade. During that time you cannot move or act, but it will buy time for your allies to come save your butt. Level 7 will give us Trickster's Escape, which will give us the CC immunity on our E, by letting us cast Freedom of Movement on ourselves once per long rest. And the final Eldritch Invocation we'll pick up is Chains of Carceri, at level 15, which is a cool version of our Q, Dark Binding. That'll work on Celestials, Fiends, or Elementals. You get to cast Hold Monster on one of those types of creatures, which forces a Wisdom save on them, making them paralyzed if they fail. This is cool because you can do it over and over if there are multiple of these types, but you have to complete a long rest before casting it on the same creature again. Level 3 Warlocks pick up their Pact Boon. We're going to go with Pact of the Chain to give us Chains of Carceri at later levels. This also allows you to summon a familiar and use it to assist you in the roleplay throughout the game. Familiars can be broken or completely forgotten about and ignored. At my tables, I've never seen a middle ground, just one extreme or the other. We also get second level spells. We'll pick up another version of Morg's Q with Hold Person. This lets you pick a humanoid and force a Wisdom save on it. If it fails, it's paralyzed, which will let your ADC go to town on them. Fourth level Warlocks gain their first ability score improvement for the build. Now make sure you're sitting for this, but we have no feats for this build. We get to just go with straight stat increases the whole time. We'll start with our Charisma as our spellcasting stat and bump it 2 points. Level 5 Warlocks get third level spells. We're going to pick up Morg's W, Tormented Shadow, with a reflavoring of Hunger of Hadar. Instead of creepy evil tentacles, just torch the ground with dark energy. It's a 20-foot sphere that lasts for up to a minute. Any creature that starts its turn there takes 2d6 cold damage, and any creature that ends their turn there takes 2d6 acid damage if they fail a dex save. 6th level Fiendlocks pick up Dark One's Own Luck. This lets you take a d10 once per rest and add it to any save or ability check as long as you haven't seen the results of the die before asking to use it. Level 7 Warlocks unlock 4th level spells. We're going to get another version of our W with Sickening Radiance. This time, a 30-foot sphere appears, and whenever a creature moves into this space or starts a turn there, they have to succeed on a Constitution save or take 4d10 Radiant and suffer a level of exhaustion. Creatures hit by this effect also emit a dim green light, which prevents them from going invisible. 8th level Warlocks gain another ability score improvement. We're going to max our Charisma here with a point and start working towards our next max, Dexterity. Level 9 Warlocks pick up 5th level spells. We'll take Hold Monster here, which is just Hold Person, except there's no humanoid restriction. 10th level Fiendlocks unlock Fiendish Resilience. Once you finish a short or long rest, you can choose one damage type and gain resistance to it. This does not work for magical or silvered weapons. Level 11 Warlocks gain their 6th level Mystic Arcanum. Mystic Arcanum are essentially just single spell slots based on a spell's level that recharge only on a long rest. We're going to pick Circle of Death here for yet another version of our W. We're up to a 60-foot radius sphere here now that forces a con save on everyone inside. Each target takes 8d6 necrotic if they fail. 12th level warlocks pick up another ability score improvement at this level. We're going to keep bumping our dex by putting 2 points in here. Level 13 warlocks unlock their 7th level mystic Arcanum. We're going to choose Force Cage here, which depending on your positioning can either be her Q or R. Force Cage lets you create a nigh unbreakable prison of magical energy around a 10-foot or 20-foot cube, depending on whether you choose a box or a cage as the shape. Any creature in that cube is trapped, meaning they can't escape unless they attempt to teleport out. To do so, they'll have to make a charisma save or be bonked back in. You can't cast spells into or out of the cage if it's a box. Remember, if you have the ability to take Force Cage, take Force Cage. 14th level Fiendlocks gain Hurl through Hell. Once per long rest, whenever you hit a creature with an attack, you can transport it through the lower planes. Until the end of your next turn, that creature is banished, and upon its return, it takes 10d10 psychic damage. That is a lot of oomph in a feature. 15th level Warlocks pick up their 8th level Mystic Arcanum. We're gonna get another version of our Q. Geez, we have so many for these, with Power Word Stun. Pick a creature and speak a word of power, like GG Easy or something. If it has 150 hit points or lower, it's stunned. At the end of each of its turns, it can try and make a con save to escape the effects. 16th level Warlocks unlock the penultimate ability score improvement for the build. We're going to round off some modifiers here before we max our dexterity with 1 point in that and 1 point in our wisdom as well. Level 17 Warlocks gain their 9th level Mystic Arcanum. Now we have the best version of our ultimate with Psychic Scream. Ideally, you use the turn before this to activate your Necrotic Shroud, then use this on the next turn. Psychic Scream lets you affect up to 10 creatures of your choice within range. Each of those chosen have to succeed on an intelligence saving throw or take 14d6 psychic damage and be stunned. If something is killed by this spell, their head explodes. This is definitely one of the sickest spells in the game, and I'm glad we get to use it here. 18th level Warlocks pick up another Eldritch Invocation. Like I said when we went over those, we covered them all there, so pick one of the ones available, or choose one of your own here. Level 19 Warlocks unlock the final ability score improvement for the build. We're going to take this opportunity to max out our dexterity with 2 points. 20th level Warlocks unlock their capstone ability Eldritch Master. This allows you to spend 1 minute calling on your patron, beseeching them to restore your pack slots. Once you regain spell slots this way, you can't do so again until you take a long rest. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. We've got the chains, we've got the dark magic. We have multiple ways to perform multiple versions of our abilities. And we got to max 2 ability scores, which is always nice when you use the standard array. Now the bad. We weren't able to Black Shield allies, which is super disappointing. We also have to adjust the flavor on a few spells to make them really work, but as long as your DM is cool, you'll have a great time. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and monthly homebrew releases. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.